Don't talk too much shit.
Nah, talk all the shit. It's great. I love it.
All the shit. Okay.
Yeah. Brad, let's jump in, I guess. Anna Newkirk, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for jumping on.
Thank you for having me, Darren. I'm excited to be here.
We were just chatting before, but let us know who you are and what you kind of do and along those lines.
Yeah, my name is Anna. I'm from the US, but I live in Switzerland. I moved over here when I was 7 years old, almost eight. Um, for my dad's work, he got the choice, can either move to Tennessee or Switzerland. My parents were like, fuck Tennessee, we're not going there. We're gonna go to Switzerland. I've been in Switzerland ever since, and I race downhill mountain bikes. And yeah, that's me.
Do did they move to Switzerland because of the nature and the environment there, or like are they outdoor sportsy people, or what was the reasoning behind it? Do you know?
They're definitely outdoorsy people and sporty people. I think the main reason behind it was for education, because I have three brothers, and in the US, sending four kids to college is pay an arm and a leg and maybe a liver for that. It's very expensive. Yeah, I think one of the main motives was because of education, because the education system here is really, really good. And then um, there's a lot of other bonuses to living here, like the nature. You have the mountains really close by, and healthcare is another big thing, which is nice to have. Yeah, I think it was multiple factors that played into it.
Yeah, I've definitely liked having healthcare. Hey, it's definitely up there on my list of favorite things.
Yeah. Although okay, to be fair, it's not free here.
Mm.
I do still pay a good amount a month for my health insurance, but it's mandatory here. And if you can't afford it, then the government will pay for it. And things like going to the doctor still isn't nearly as expensive as it is in the US.
Mm. I mean, we can go down this rabbit hole, but theoretically, nothing's for free. So we still pay for ours through our taxes and everything like that here. But
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
definitely
Yeah.
definitely helps.
Yeah. But in any case, pretty much anything's better than in the US. So
True.
healthcare wise.
What was growing up with three brothers like?
Um, Definitely an experience. I think I'm very grateful for the experience, and I think it played a big part of who I am today. It was very chaotic, for sure, and yeah, I don't know. I just kind of hung around and did whatever they did, and tried my best to beat them at it. I think that's probably why I'm so competitive, is because I have three brothers. Um, but yeah, it was good, chaotic and good.
Were you guys like, are you the youngest or?
I'm the second oldest.
Okay, yeah. So you weren't scrapping for the food and stuff as much as the youngest brother was.
Yeah, middle child, you know. Yeah, yeah.
Who kind of got into the mountain biking thing first? Was it you or was one of your brothers, or what kind of happened that way?
So it was my oldest brother, Bennett. Like, okay, so technically it was my dad. My dad
Okay.
was mountain biking and my mom before we were born. But then yeah, my dad actually also used to run a bike shop and work for Giant and stuff like that. He even met John Tomac. That was the proudest moment of his life.
That'd be
Four
my proudest
kids.
legend.
I know. Four kids, nothing comes close to the moment he met John Tomac. um yeah, so my dad used to ride bikes. He raced BMX as a kid and rode mountain bikes as an adult and stuff. But when we were born, or when my oldest brother was born, he didn't really ride that much anymore that I know of. And then one time, Bennett, my oldest brother, found one of his trophies. Bennett couldn't even ride a bike at the time. He found one of his
All
old
right.
BMX trophies and was like, "Oh, I want to do that." So he learned how to ride a bike and got into BMX. And I was the annoying younger sister and just did whatever he did. So I got into BMX
Yep.
too. And so did my two younger brothers at the time. And then Bennett got into mountain biking. So I got into mountain biking. And yeah, here we are today.
That's wild. What was your dad kind of doing for Giant? Like you said,
Oh,
he
that is
worked
a
from.
fantastic question. I wasn't alive at the time, so I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yep.
I know he I think it was just the bike shop was a
Okay.
yeah, sold giant bikes, but I'm not sure exactly what he did
Yeah.
for them.
That's still pretty wild though, having your dad make John Tomac and running all that
Yeah, I
stuff.
know. I think it was like a very brief meet, like a quick hi and a handshake, but
Yeah,
it
okay.
was yeah, it's still wild, absolutely.
It felt like
Like
a
it's
lifetime.
probably, yeah. I mean, it's John Tomac, so yeah.
100%. Were you pretty competitive straight off the bat when it came to the racing, the BMX stuff?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. I don't know if it's nature or nurture, but my whole family is quite competitive.
yeah,
Um and so I've always yeah, always been competitive when it comes to racing. Even when I was a kid, I was yeah, always wanted to I always wanted to win and I always wanted to do well. And there was
It-
times when I was a bit when I was would be not very stoked if I didn't do well or if I didn't win. But I think I've improved on that. Become a bit more gracious in defeat
it's
than I was
okay.
as a kid.
It's okay to be not happy with the result, I think.
Yeah, but I think it's still important that you like present yourself well and still
Mm.
like, don't cause a scene.
Yeah,
Like,
and got
because
through your
there are
bike.
people, yeah, I mean, there are still people occasionally who will
Mm.
cause a scene, and I don't think it's a good look. I think it's important to be gracious in defeat, and because, it's your own fault. It's your own
Yeah,
fault that you were slower. Go faster next time.
yeah. Winning a race is easy. You just got to go faster than everyone else. Like I don't see
Exactly.
the
Come
big deal.
on.
Yeah.
I don't either. I don't know why more people don't do it or why I don't do it.
um, were you pretty much up the front of the pack as soon as you started riding, or is it a longer process? Or do you remember how that
Yeah,
kind of went?
I do not think I was out at the front of the pack. Definitely not. Maybe in some races occasionally I would do all right, but I was very, very much mid pack.
Yeah.
Um, in BMX, I was never like the one of the top girls. I was always like, yeah, very mid pack.
Hmm.
I think I was yeah, around like, sixth or seventh around there most of the time. I was never like at the front. And then when I started racing downhill, well, when I started, actually, there wasn't a girls category, so I was racing against the boys. There, I was like, for the first year at least, I was consistently able to podium, but
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I don't think I ever won a race. And then all the boys hit puberty and got way faster, and then I was mid pack again.
Where did you start downhill in Switzerland or in
In
America?
Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
And the BMX racing
Yeah.
was in Switzerland as well?
Oh, that was in the US.
Okay. Yeah.
That kind of like stopped in Switzerland.
Mm.
Just because like we didn't really know how to get involved in like a BMX club or find a BMX track to go to. And we didn't speak the language, so it was difficult to like figure everything out. So
Mm.
mountain biking and not necessarily downhill, but just like mountain biking in general was a lot more accessible because you didn't really need anything except for a hill.
True. Yeah. Did you take all your bikes and stuff across, or did you leave them at home and get some fresh
I
stuff in
think
you?
I think we took them across because we
Okay.
had to move everything like our whole lives. So the bikes came with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was your first experience on a downhill bike like, or on a mountain bike in general?
Uh Terrible. I hated it.
Yeah. Right.
My
Why's
first
that?
experiences. I don't know. Um well, so there's two different first experiences. There's the first time like in a bike park riding downhill, and
Mm.
there's the first time riding like cross country stuff. Cross country stuff, I was like, oh, all we do is ride uphill. I don't like this. This is not fun. And the first time I ever went to like anything lift served, I was really excited. But my dad took me down a trail that was way above my level,
Yeah.
way too hard for me. And I couldn't make it down half the stuff. I had to walk down half of it because I was like, I don't know, like 9 or 10 at the time. And I was like, oh, fuck this. This is not fun. I am not having a good time. But then a few years later, I tried it again, or I built up my skills in between them, got back into it, and I was like, oh, okay, this actually is fun. I do like this.
Yeah. When did you start competing with that stuff? Was that pretty much straight away, or
I did my first race, my first downhill race in 2012,
okay?
I think. Yeah.
And how
And
old were you
then
then?
I was 10, almost 11.
Yeah, wow.
So
Okay,
10, 11 years old. Yeah.
that's pretty sick. That's a good, like, solid progression. Like,
From BMX to
yeah,
from hating it to racing.
yeah. In like what 3 or 4 years? That's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it was less. I'm not actually sure the first time I went like properly riding was. I think I must have been like 8 or 9 at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what really motivated me is I would be like, well, probably it was also my older brother, Bennett. And then I'd be like, I could ride down that. And he'd be like, no, you can't. I'd be like, yes, I can. And then so yeah, kind of progressed like that. I was very stubborn as a kid.
Weren't we all?
Yeah, true.
How many injuries were you going back to the house with when you roll up into the front door and your mum would be like, "What have you done now?" Or did that
Oof.
not happen very much?
Um, so as a kid, it was pretty okay because kids kind of just bounce. Kids'
Mm,
bones are made of rubber, so I didn't really hurt myself that much as a kid. There was one time when I was riding with my dad and my brother when I had like a hugie and busted my liver and my kidney. I like crushed them and bruised them and spent like a few days in the ICU and a week in the hospital. I think that was probably the worst time when they were the most concerned. But other than that, most of my injuries have been when I was like a teenager or an adult. And there have been a few of those.
I think everyone's starting to stack them up, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I've actually been lucky, like so far, that they've all been manageable.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, still been a few in there.
So, what was it like, kind of racing? There was no women's or girls' class at all in Switzerland at that point, or just for your age group.
Yeah, so the only girls class I think was starting at under seven. No, not even under 17s, honestly. No, it might have been under 17s or under 19s
Okay.
was the youngest girls class. So for under 13s and under 15s, there was none. And is a series called the Rookies Cup, which is
Okay.
pretty big in Europe for like amateurs and stuff. It's just like mainly in Germany and occasionally. So mainly it's mainly in Germany, the
Okay.
races. Sometimes there'll be one in Switzerland. But yeah, I raced there and there was no girls class, so I just had to race against the boys. And then after my first year, the first year I was the only girl, and then the second year I raced, there were a few more. One of them was Valli,
Yeah.
because we're the
Okay.
same. Yeah, we're the same age, so we've been competing. We've been racing against each other since 2013.
Yeah.
I've
No
known her
way.
for
That's wild.
yeah 10 years now. That is pretty wild. Her and then Paola Tsubasa.
Hmm.
She used to race World Cups as well and does like crankworks and stuff now, and lots of free ride and stuff.
Mm.
Um, yeah, we were the only girls on the that like actually raced. So yeah, that was fun. There was like three girls, and then just kind of raced in the boys category.
It must do something because you guys, all three of you, are pretty damn fast. Like,
Oh,
there's something to
thanks.
be
I mean,
said to it, right? Like,
yeah, I do think it's good. But I also think it's really good that there's a girls specific category now because
mm,
it's really sick to see how many girls are actually racing in under 13s and under 15s. Like the field is like there's a lot of girls racing now and they're all super fast.
mm.
Like I am very glad that I'll probably be retired by the time they race World Cups because they're all like super quick. There's so many talented girls up and coming right now.
We've got the same thing happening here, even just locally in Adelaide. There's more. We don't have an elite women's category at the moment in downhill because there's one, and yet there's probably 15 young girls under 15 that are pinned like proper quick. It's wild to see.
Yeah, right. It's insane. I'm super impressed though. Like yeah, I love it. The future is going to be like, the future is super bright for the sport.
Well, I think even now, like we can jump to some of the World Cup stuff, but for me this year, the women's racing's been better than the men's to watch in a lot of aspects. Like it's more competitive and it's funner, and I don't know, I just like it a bit more. That could just be me.
Oh, thanks. That's nice to hear. Um, yeah, it's pretty wild how competitive it is in the women's field right now. And I think one thing that makes it like a lot more maybe competitive than the men's is that there's only 10 spots for
Mm,
finals, which is not a lot at all. Like it's last year there were 11 different women who were on the podium and there's
mm,
10 women in finals. So technically every single woman who makes finals is a podium rider or a podium contender.
yep,
While in the men, like that ratio is a little bit different and a little bit off. Like I think there were 18 different men on the podium and 30 men in finals, which is like 60% instead of over 100. Only 60% are podium riders instead of
yep.
everyone, which is pretty wild. But yeah, it's really awesome seeing um how fast all the women are right now. Um Not great for me because now I have to get faster, but yeah, it's really cool to see how high the level is.
What was it like? I guess you've raced those races. What was your progression to the World Cups like?
I think it was so what I did is I raced rookies cups and stuff as an under 17 and an under 15, and then in Europe there's a series called the European Cups and the IXS Downhill Cups. I raced those once I was an under 17 because I was allowed to race once I was an under 17. Um, Raced that series for a few years, and then once I was old enough, I stepped up to World Cups and yeah, pretty much raced almost except for 2020. I've raced every season since. In
It,
2021, I only did half a season.
yeah, I mean, it. Yeah, 2021's not even in my memory. Those years are
Yeah,
gone.
same. Just 2 years just didn't exist, just erased out of everybody's minds.
I think so. They just don't count.
Yeah.
What's how does the IXS kind of help you and the riders in Europe kind of prepare for World Cups? It seems like a really, really good building block for you guys to kind of start showing yourself to sponsors over there and get used to international racecraft and stuff. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really grateful for the series. It's again, that was like my main focus for like 4 or 5 years, something like that, before I started, or yeah, for like maybe 2, 3, 4 years, something like that, before I started racing World Cups. And it definitely helped me like work up to it and get up to pace and like compete against other people, albeit it was mainly just Valli and I. Sometimes it was just two of us, sometimes there were
you're right.
more. But yeah, I've been getting smoked by her since again 2013. But yeah, I think it's a really, really good series, and I'm really fortunate that all the races are like relatively close to where I live right now. Um, because yeah, it's just a great series to work up to that speed and that kind of difficulty of track, and also present yourself to sponsors and show kind of um, and also learn your racecraft and perfect it or work on it.
Were you going to them kind of solo, or were you traveling around with your family, or how'd that kind of work?
I was on a team at the time called
Okay.
Team Project. I was on that team for a really long time, from 2014 until, and my last season on them was 2018.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I did my first World Cup season with them as well. They're a team out of Switzerland. Bunch of really cool guys, and I'm really, really grateful that I had that time on the team and got to go to all the races with them, and I learned a lot from them as well.
Did they kind of reach out to you, or were you like actively looking for teams at that time? Because to be doing that at that age is pretty rad.
So, at the time when I joined the team, my older brother was also still racing, and
Okay.
he was really fast as well. He was incredibly talented. He doesn't. I'm sorry, my cat's over there doing stupid shit. It's
No, that's
really
all right.
annoying, distracting.
Is that the car
Um,
park cat?
yeah,
Yeah, sick.
uh, yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry, he's being an idiot. Anyways, my older brother Bennett, he was really fast at the time, like really fast until he quit. Such a waste of talent. Anyways, anyways, can I film that side real quick?
Sorry? Yeah, that's all
Hmm?
good.
Sorry, he ran away now. Um, yes. Anyways, yeah, so my brother was racing at the time, and he was really fast. He was like dominant in the under 17s in Switzerland and in Europe. Like he was winning the races by sometimes like 10, 20 seconds, like
Yeah, wow.
insanely quick. So, yeah, so we talked to the team and kind of got to know them. And because we already kind of knew the guys and were friends with them. And then they kind of just were like, yeah, do you guys want to, join the team? So then we joined this team. And yeah, my brother quit like 2 years later, but I stayed. So
Yep. What
yeah,
he kind of give up? Was he just over it or
he just, yeah, pretty much. I think he wanted to focus more on school. This is what's distracting me. Yeah, he wanted to focus more on school, and I think he was kind of burned out and didn't really want to train or focus on training.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think he just wasn't really motivated to race. He really liked riding, but I don't think he was a huge fan of racing.
It happens, right? Like I've seen so many crew like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like yeah, but it's totally understandable. I mean, racing is tough work, especially training for it full time. If you're going to school or working next to it, that's also another extra like bit of stress and stuff you're doing. And then the races itself are also a huge toll on your like mentally and physically on you.
Mm.
So I completely understand if people don't want to pursue racing. They just want to ride bikes for fun.
Were you worried that you might get burnt out or stop enjoying racing when you saw your brother kind of bow out?
Um, Not incredibly. I did actually get burned out at one point in 2020. In 2021, I was like, I mean, to be fair, I was also during COVID, so I think everybody was kind of burnt out on life. But uh yeah, I just did not enjoy racing anymore. Even riding, I was kind of like, I really just had zero motivation. And it wasn't until the end of 2021 when I kind of found my flow again and started enjoying racing again.
Hmm. What was, I mean, your results reflect that, but what was what were you burnt out about? Like what were some of the factors or things that were kind of contributing to that?
That's a great question. I think a lot of it, so I don't know if it was if I was specifically burnt out or if I was just like kind of in a bit of a dip in general.
Hmm.
I just really had no desire at all to ride my bike or to go do anything or to train or to race. And when I would race, it was like I wasn't having fun. I wasn't riding well, and I was just like
Hmm.
I was so over it. I was like, yeah, this isn't like why am I doing this? I just felt like yeah, I wasn't enjoying any of it. I don't know if it was like specifically, yeah, even like riding. I didn't even enjoy really riding at the time.
Do you think it gets to like this point where I'm just speaking from personal experience as well, but like, do you think you get to this point where you stop enjoying riding, so you're not riding well, which makes you not enjoy riding as much, which then makes you ride worse, and then you end up in
Oh
this
yeah,
cycle? Like,
absolutely. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle because
mm,
like yeah, like you said, you don't enjoy it anymore, so you don't ride as well. And then you're not riding well, so you don't enjoy it. And then it's like, why am I even doing this?
yeah, Were you
and
looking
then you
at
just
school and stuff or work at the same time, or was it?
I was working throughout
Yeah.
that time. Yeah, I had a job in a bike shop that I did. Um, and I was actually still in school then as well. I was finishing up my Matura, which is in Switzerland. It's like technically high school, but it's also like the first 2 years of college. It's like
Yeah.
an associate's degree in the US. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a little bit higher than high school, and it gets you into pretty much any university in Europe.
Yeah.
Or it's
Wow.
the only way, it's the only way you can go to university here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was finishing that up. Which yeah, I don't know. I think it was just all of it. I think it was like a mix of it being COVID, like you weren't allowed to see anybody or hang out with anybody.
Mm,
At least here in Europe, we were like full lockdown. I had
true.
no like, yeah, I couldn't see anybody or do anything or go anywhere. And yeah, then I wasn't riding well as well. So it was all just like a vicious cycle and a combination of things that led to me feeling super burnt out and not enjoying it and not riding well either. Like there was one race I remember in 2021 in Pila at a European Cup. I felt like I was riding okay and that I thought I had a good run. I was 30 seconds back on Vero Vidman.
Yeah. Okay.
And Vero is incredibly fast, for sure.
Mm.
But 30 seconds is a long time.
Yep.
Like I didn't even podium at that race. And it's like, yeah, quote unquote only a European Cup. I didn't even come close to podium. I was at like eighth or something. I was
Seventh.
still like
Yeah.
10 seconds. I was so far back. I was like, yeah, I just at that point I was like, yeah, I don't know how to race anymore. I've lost my racecraft. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to ride a bike anymore. It was so weird because like I felt like I remember that race run and I didn't feel like I was going slow,
Mm.
but I was. I was going very slow.
Slow in comparison. Yeah. But yeah, it is. You're 22, 25 seconds back in seventh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a long time. That's so far back.
It is in downhill. It's like a really long time.
Yeah.
But how did you kind of pull yourself out of that? Because the next race you got third at Maribor. Like,
um yeah, I know. Mari it was so weird. Maribor really was like the turning point for me in 2021. Like that race specifically, that European Cup and then the World Cup after.
mm-hmm.
Because like the first World Cup I did as an elite, I didn't qualify. I got I think 16th or 17th, like a second off qualifying. Which also didn't help my little burnout situation there. But in
Mm.
Maribor, I was like, I don't know what clicked, but something just clicked in my head. And I was well, I think one big thing was like my self-talk, I think you call it. Like every race before that, at least that year or in the year before, I would like tell myself that I would be at the start, be like, you can't do this. You're not good
Yeah.
enough. You suck. And like stuff like that. And then at Maribor, I was like, why would I do that? Why would I tell myself that before a race run? That isn't going to help me at like do anything. But the only reason I tell myself that is because I was scared of, so I didn't disappoint myself if I didn't do
Mm.
well. But
Yep.
like, which is such a stupid thought because if I didn't do well, I was going to be disappointed either way, whether I told myself,
Yeah.
whether I believed I can do it or not. So in Maribor, I really focused a lot on having fun and like positive self-talk and stuff like that. And um yeah, that was a big turnaround point for me that race. Or
It's
that week,
crazy how
those two
much
weeks.
it's crazy how much that changes. Hey.
Yeah, it's insane. Like again, 22 seconds is a long time. And then a few weeks later or 25 seconds or whatever
Yeah.
is such a long time back on Vero. And then in Maribor at the World Cup, like a month later or whatever, I was, I think, on par with her or like 4 seconds back maybe in finals, something like that.
So Vidman,
Yeah.
you were 0.4. Like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. Like just what because that was all mindset. My writing didn't change in between them. That was
Yeah.
all in my head. So that was pretty wild. And yeah, that race was definitely a turnaround point.
Was that just something you noticed all by yourself? Like, was that just something you complete, or was there outside influences trying to help you with that?
No, there were also definitely outside
Okay.
influences trying to help me. My teammate Abby Hoagie, she helped me a lot because she studies sports science and
Sick.
psychology.
Yep.
So she has a lot of knowledge in that stuff. And she, yeah, she tried to, or she did help me out a lot, like telling me these things and like made it because I don't if she hadn't told me, I don't think as obvious as it is, I don't think I would have noticed that I need to change the way that I think. I need to stop talking to myself or thinking about myself so negatively. Um yeah, she was like, yeah, you need to think positively and like your self-talk needs to be positive and not negative. You can't be at the start gate and tell yourself that you can't do this because then you won't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I was like, no. But then I was like, a few weeks later, I was like, maybe she has a point. Um, yeah.
So easy to jump over a low bar, though. Like, it's easy, right? Like,
Yeah.
you just, but you don't have that expectation on you. It's easier, but because you're so
Yeah.
competitive, it's got to be, yeah, that double-edged sword.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
But yeah, Abby
very,
definitely helped me.
it's very rare to see that turnaround in like a month, if not like a weekend of racing, though. Like, that is impressive.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, again, I find it very strange as well because it really was like a click. It
Mm,
was like something in my mind just like clicked. And I was like, oh yeah, like you can tell yourself stuff and you can tell yourself that you need to do this and need to do that, but if it doesn't actually click in your mind,
mm,
then and like you don't actually believe it, then it's not going to be the same. But
mm.
like, yeah, there was like, yeah, it was really, really insane. It was um like a whole 180. I went from having no fun and writing like shit to really enjoying it and then writing a lot better, which also goes hand in hand because if you're not enjoying it, obviously you're not going to write as well.
That, yeah. It was kind of around that same time that Valli was going through her kind of mental barriers, I think, as well. Was that season, her first year of elite, where she wasn't quite living up to the hype, if I remember
Yeah,
correct?
I think so. I'm not. I think that was the season when she had a lot of like crashing in the final corner
That's the one. Yep.
kind of
Yeah.
situations
Still
in
getting
Leo
fifth,
Gang
but
and
yeah.
yeah, I know, like still doing obviously
Yeah.
like amazing, really, really well. But yeah, I think it was in Leo Gang and Leger that she crashed in the final corner, which obviously wouldn't be very helpful.
Exact same crash as well, like that front wheel washout.
Yeah,
Yeah. I thought I was
yeah.
watching the wrong race because it was like the
Yeah.
exact same crash. I'm like, have I watched this twice? Yeah.
Yeah, I felt so bad for because that's such like, especially in the final corner, it's such a terrible place to crash. It's like, yeah,
Every
that's
camera,
not,
every media, everything's like on you for that corner.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Everybody sees it, and then you've completed the whole track, all the hard parts, all the
Mm, yeah.
places you'd normally crash, and then like in literally the easiest part of the track, you just it's kind of like throwing it all away.
Was it kind of weird with you having like you're on the up, and then someone that you raced did so well and so long is kind of stagnant compared to the hype or the reputation? Was that kind of playing on your head at all, or are you that completely out of your
I wasn't
element?
really thinking on that. I mean, I wouldn't say she didn't live up to the hype because she still did really, really well.
Yeah,
Like she was still absolutely on pace. It was just she couldn't really put a run together, and she still ended up winning the overall that season.
true.
It just really
Yeah.
wasn't until the end of the season that things clicked for her. But I don't think I'd say that that was something that was
on your
like
mind?
yeah, in
Yeah.
the forefront of my mind.
What was that first elite season like for you to step into that field? Because it was quite a seasoned and high level field, but there were still some kind of bigger players missing. Was that kind of a bit weird? Oh, I guess you
Yeah.
still had Tani at some of them.
I feel like the weirdest thing was that technically 2021 was my first elite season. No, 2020, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, there weren't any races, or I didn't do any races other than World Championships. And World Championships and Leo Gang that year was the biggest shit show because, um, yeah, the mud and all that. I think I
Yeah.
got a rock stuck in my fender in my race run, and like my wheel wouldn't turn. And then I had a
Yep.
hugie and lost my visor, and it was a whole
Yeah.
fiasco.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2021 was the first season where I did where I raced properly again.
Hmm.
But also only half the season. I didn't do the first race. But um yeah, it was super difficult stepping up into elites, especially after having like a bit of a hiatus in 2020.
Mm.
But yeah, it was it was difficult. I think the hardest part was having like my first proper elite season after that long break of 2020.
Mm.
Um, and not kind of knowing where you stand for so long because it was a whole year where I had really nothing to
True.
compare myself to. I had no idea what my pace was, nothing. Um, but yeah, once I got further into the season, I kind of got into the groove of things again. I got my
We
first top 10 that season as well in Lenzerheide, which was cool.
true.
I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Were you kind of self-funded or were you on a team for that season still?
No, 2021, I was a privateer, all self-funded.
Yeah.
I had like some, well, I had one sponsor that um gave me that helped me out financially. Wait, did I? No, I didn't. I didn't have any sponsors that year that helped me out financially. Yeah, it was all self-funded. I'm lucky that I was part of a program here in Switzerland that gave me a bit of funding, which got me through the season. That was my whole funding. I got 7,000 from then, and that funded my whole season. My budget for the entire season that year was 5 grand, including going to the US. I don't know how I did that.
What?
Yeah, I was very very thrifty. And it was like with staying in accommodations as well.
That
Like sleeping in a car, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But my whole budget for the season was 5 grand with flights to the US.
that's wild. I guess because you're
Nowadays,
already in Europe, it makes a little bit more sense, like to my head now. But yeah, it's still
that's
expensive.
true. But
Yeah.
even now, that's like impossible. Everything is so much more expensive now,
Mm.
like accommodations. I remember in 2021 for accommodations, if I was spending 500 for um yeah, if we were spending me and Abby, because we weren't technically a team then, but we still traveled together a lot. If we
Hmm.
were spending more than 500 for both of us for an accommodation, that was like so expensive. And now it's like if we can find something for 500 euros, we're like, wow, that's so cheap. It's insane. Because everything right now is like, I don't know, I think we usually pay like 7 or 800 for accommodations for a week. It's insane. Everything's so ridiculously expensive right now.
I know like people coming down to Tassie and a few team managers I spoke to around the barns were like, this year's going to be tough for a lot of them because it's just so expensive.
Yeah, it's insane. Everything. Like gas is more expensive, food is more expensive, accommodations are more expensive, flights are more expensive. Sometimes, usually, flights are about the same actually.
Mm. How it still blows my mind that someone that's getting, top tens pretty damn well. And you're traveling with someone that was 12th at a couple of races as well. Like you guys are pinned and you're still kind of privateers or privateers. Like it just
Yeah,
doesn't
I mean,
compute. Is that kind of normal, or like, I guess what's your take on that?
so we do get a lot better financing now than I did in
Mm,
2021. Um, yeah, we do get financing now, which is really, really nice. Really, really nice. We don't have to pay for anything out of pocket anymore. We
cool.
still don't make a salary, which
Hmm.
it would be nice if we could, but that is a goal for the future, is for us to be able to pay ourselves a bit more. Um, yeah, but we don't have to worry about like, spending our own money to get to the races now. But yeah, it would be cool if we could actually get paid as well, because I know it's a big debate about like women not getting paid as much as men, and there's a lot of different viewpoints on it, but there is still a very big pay gap in when it comes to salaries in between the men and the women, even if you look at it like percentage wise, like um yeah, I don't know. I know some women who were podium riders, like who were making less money than guys who were like maybe get a top 30 if they're lucky. And that
Yeah,
to me is a bit ridiculous.
that's what. Yeah, because those guys are not getting paid huge amounts, or from what I've heard, they're not getting paid huge amounts either.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely not. No, but I don't, unless you're like the top of the top, unless you're like Bernie or Amari Piero or maybe Tani, you're not going to be
Yeah,
making a lot of money.
no, no, like Troy and that those guys that are like the top five brink every race. They're the only crew that are making big
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Um,
Everybody else can maybe scratch by.
mm, but then you go to the women's racing and it's like the top two maybe might be making
Yeah.
okay money, which is just
Yeah. I think like maybe the top women are hopefully, I say that hopefully making a decent amount, but I don't think there's more than, like you said, two or three who are making like really good money.
mm,
Um, there are a lot more women now who are getting paid at all, which is really cool to see. Like there used to be maybe like what, five women who are getting paid, and now there's like, a decent amount. I don't know how much everybody makes, but at least they're getting anything at all.
and they're on teams,
Yeah.
which is silly to be saying in 2023. That it's good that
Yeah,
women
there's a
are
lot
on
more
like
women on.
factory teams and that are
Oh
on
yeah,
actual.
for sure.
Yeah,
And it's one thing I really like to see that makes me really happy is that there's a lot of teams with more than one woman. Normally it
yes,
was like, teams would have their token woman. And,
yeah.
a lot still do, but there's also a lot of teams that now have more than one woman, which is really nice to see. I think that's really cool.
And it's because there's so many more fast women and the competition is so good now. Like it's all just growing in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And then, yeah, hopefully ESO catches up as well and makes it 15 women in finals. That would be cool. But
Yep.
yeah, baby steps, baby steps.
I'd actually be okay if it was like top 20 men, to be honest with you. Like top 20 men and then have top 15 women. But controversial opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I think the men's race is really interesting, but I'm gonna be honest. I only ever watched like, yeah, maybe the top 20, top 15.
I mean, you're there, so it's a bit different, but like watching at home now is 5.5 hours
Hmm.
of watching racing, which is so
A
long.
lot.
Yeah.
That's all day.
Yeah, it is. It's all day. And yeah, it's just so much watching. And by the end of like the men's elite race, I could not care less. Just never happened to me in mountain bike racing ever. So
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I'm really interested to know if like many people actually watch like semifinals and stuff like that, or if they're just like, oh, I don't have that time. I don't have enough time to watch 5.5 hours of racing. I'm just gonna watch only finals.
mm,
Or if they're like, oh, semifinals are free, I'm just gonna only watch that.
yeah, well, I think that's more happening more. Even though in Australia to watch the finals is $1.50 a week.
Yeah, it's not that expensive. It's like $40 a year.
Yeah. The one thing I was kind of chatting to Alex about this, but your name's popped up a lot more this year than it has in the past for media and live broadcasting and I guess just general recognition. The Do you think the semi-finals to finals is kind of helping that because your name's being mentioned twice and then it's now you've made the finals? It seems like a
So
big deal.
that's a really good point. Um, yeah, that honestly could actually be. I've only been in finals once this year so far, but uh, yeah, that's definitely a possibility because it is a much bigger deal now if you do make finals.
Mm,
Um, it's like already kind of an accomplishment by itself, and I
mm.
do think like the name being mentioned twice is definitely like probably helps that.
Because honestly, like I'm a pretty big fan of the sport and pretty nerdy. And I kind of only knew your name because of Alex a couple of years ago. Like that's dead
Yeah,
honest.
I tend to fly under the radar a lot.
But then I looked at your results in preparation for this. I'm like, holy shit. Like you're right up there the whole time. Even in your junior, like it's you're second to Valli, like every junior race. It's pretty wild. Like it blew me away that I
Yeah,
didn't know your name.
yeah, I don't know why that is. But yeah, it's not something that like I'm like, oh, I need people to know who I am and know my name and
Mm,
stuff. I'm like, I don't personally and like on a personal level, I don't really give a shit if people know who I am or not. It's more just like for sponsors and stuff that it's
mm.
like beneficial if people do, because nobody wants to sponsor somebody that nobody's heard of. Um, but yeah, like I don't know why. I feel like I up until kind of this year, I was very much just like very under the radar.
I kind of
And
rate
I'm
it.
not sure why. Not underrated, just under the radar. Just like
Yeah.
not just yeah, just very inconspicuous.
Has that had to change now that you're running your own team?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one thing that plays a role in it is that last year was our first year running the team. So we were
Hmm.
just like getting started. And I think this year people are now like kind of, I mean, they took us seriously last year, but this year it's like, they're like, oh yeah, they're here to stay.
Mm.
It's like, and I feel like they're kind of used to us more. People outside the World Cups and people at the World Cups as well. Like I feel like now we're not really regarded as like, oh, just like this janky random setup. We're now kind of, I feel like, I mean, I might be completely wrong, but I hope we're now seen more as like a proper team. Um, that people take a bit more seriously. Very
it
serious business here. Super serious.
is it is it just you two on the team? Or is it
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. We would like to bring a junior on at some point.
Okay.
That would be really cool. That's definitely one of our goals. And then in the future, maybe expand more. Um, so to all the juniors out there listening, hit us up, send us your resume. Uh, um, yeah, no, we would like to expand. But yeah, currently it's like nice having to only manage us. I feel like
Mm.
managing another whole another extra person is definitely also more work. But yeah. Although also technically we do have a third rider on this team this year. It's Evan Turpin, the guy who builds our bikes.
Yep.
But he's only listed as one of the racers. Yeah.
Is he doing runs with you guys?
He plans on going to Snowshoe and MSA racing there,
Yes.
which will be exciting.
What are your just while we're on that subject, what are your thoughts about the teams that have mechanics or coaches riding behind their riders in B practice?
Oh, so jealous.
Yeah.
Just in general, teams with coaches and mechanics. I'm
True.
like, wow.
Yeah.
Imagine that. We have been lucky this year. We have had mechanics at a lot of the rounds, only
Okay.
except for in Valli Hoel, we've had a mechanic at all the World
Oh
Cups
wow.
so
Yeah,
far.
cool.
So we're working on that, trying to hopefully next year we can hire somebody full time. That would be really nice. But yeah, I think just in general, having a coach either on track looking at lines for you or riding with you and following you is super beneficial.
Mm.
And a lot of the top teams have some riders have both. They'll have somebody riding with them and they'll have another people like scouting out lines and looking at the track, telling them what line's fastest and what's best and stuff. I have to do all my thinking for myself. I mean, come on.
You're making it work though. Like
I'm trying.
you mentioned Evan Turpin, who's the maker, inventor, mind behind Contra. What's it like having them on board? Because you were on Canyons last year.
We were on a brand called Bikes last year, a small brand out of Switzerland. But working with Evan is insane. Like it's really, really cool. And I'm so grateful to have this opportunity and that he wanted to work with us because he's the one who reached out to us. And
Cool.
we were at the time we were still we were technically still planning on running with bikes for this season, but then we had a few creative differences. But yeah, it's funny, before that we were like, oh, that bike, it's so sick, it looks so cool. In a perfect world, that'd be like my dream bike and I would love to run it. But Contra is still a really, really small company, so he wasn't able to offer us any financial help. But his wife, Margot, she's also so awesome. Like they're such a power team, Evan and Margot. She works for Giro, and we were able to get Giro on board to support us, which helped a lot. And that kind of sold it for us. And we were like, yeah, we're gonna do this. This is cool. This is a really cool setup. And the bike is amazing. It works so well. And again, Evan and Margot are both really cool people. Margot also runs she has a side hustle and makes sports bras, which are really great. Loom 6. I'm sure Darren, all about sports bras. But they're
after last Christmas, I thought I needed one, that's for sure.
Oh, come on. No, yeah, they're really great. Like she makes really, really great stuff. And Evan he's a genius. He's so smart. Like you could tell him anything about any bike or just say like, oh, that link is like that or that is that. And he'd be like, oh no, that would be good because the anti-squat would be this and then the anti-rise would be that. And then so the pedaling efficiency would be so bad and the suspension wouldn't work under braking. I'm just like, what? How did you get that from me saying that link is like that? Like it's insane. Just the way it just all works in his mind. It's really, really impressive. And it shows because the bike works really well. Like it's so sick.
It looks really good. And I think I actually sent you a message after the first race or the second race. And I was like, you look really comfortable on that bike.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable on the bike too. And I've noticed it in my riding. Like this is the first bike in a few years that I've felt yeah, this just works for me. It suits my riding style. It suits the way that well, it suits the tracks as well. It just works, you know?
Yeah, everything about it seems right. It's crazy. Sorry, I'm just got really in depth into looking at that bike because I haven't spent heaps of time looking at it, but it's a
Yeah, all good.
160 mil bike.
No, it's ours is a 200
Okay,
front and rear.
yeah, I was a
Yeah.
bit confused.
The
Then, like, if
Enduro's
you're
a one.
if you're doing it on 160, then that bike is working real good.
Yeah, no, our Enduro bikes are 160s, but the downhill's a 200.
Are you guys helping out with development or any of the feedback on that bike?
We do give feedback.
Yep.
So far our feedback has been yes, it's great. Which isn't very helpful, but
Yep.
like he built us a second frame just like as the spare and like just a second bike that we have.
Mhm.
And he asked us if there's anything we wanted to change on it, any adjustments we wanted to make, and we were both like, honestly, no. It's great the way it is. I can't think of one single thing. Like on every other bike I've ridden, I've been like kind of nitpicky and been like, oh, I wish that were like this, or the bottom bracket were higher, or this were like
Mhm.
that, or it were more slack or less slack or whatever. But this bike, I'm like, can't think of anything that I would want to change on it.
Yeah. That's always good. I've always like it's pretty rare to find, but every now and then you get a bike and it just fits and it works and it's
Yeah.
just
And then it's amazing.
everything changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who else is kind of sponsoring you at the moment or helping out the team?
Yeah, so we have Contra and Giro, which is really cool. Giro is also a really cool brand. All the
Mhm.
people there are really amazing, and yeah, really cool brand. We have Maxis on board, which is
Yeah.
also super exciting because
Yeah.
you know they're Maxis. They make the best tires in the world, and also the people there are awesome. Actually, I feel like all the people behind the brands we work with are really cool, which is a bonus. But yeah, so we have Maxis, we have Suntour, which is really cool. We have, I need to think, Fidlock. They
Yeah.
make the magnetic bottles and bottle systems and a bunch of other magnetic products, which is um, really awesome. Like I've been using their products since before they sponsored me, so
Yeah,
it's nice
right.
that they
Sick.
sponsor us
Yeah.
now. Yeah, we got that. We have DT Swiss on board for wheels. We
Yeah.
have Berg Tech for like handlebars, stems, grips, chain rings, axles, stuff like that.
Mhm.
We have we're running Crank Brothers pedals,
Yep. That.
and I think that's it.
The
I
old
really hope
reading.
I'm not forgetting anybody.
You don't even have a jersey on to read.
I know. I think that's it. Those are the main ones, definitely.
There's some pretty big names. Like, did you reach out to a lot of them, or was it all something that was building up over time?
So a lot of the, or some of the contacts or me and Abby already had through like previous teams and sponsors and stuff like that. So like with Maxis and DT Swiss, I already had the connections and the contacts and knew the people. And with Abby, she already knew Fidlock and who to talk to there, knew the people there already, and Suntour she knew as well.
Okay.
So that's like kind of how we were able to. We both kind of just like brought on a few different sponsors from different, from like me as a privateer and then her from her old team, and somehow convinced them to support us. And then we also had Elliot Jackson help us out a lot,
Ah,
which was
sick.
incredible. He's such an amazing guy, like such a great person. And he helped us out so much with the team. He helped us like build up a portfolio and like he helped make us a deck. He got one of his friends to make us a logo, like our Panther, the Beyond Racing Panther.
Yeah.
Her name is Kate. She's an incredible graphic designer. He got her to make that for us. Oh, and Jarrett College, he He's our trainer, our athletic trainer. Really, really cool guy, and he's so knowledgeable. He also trains like Bernard Kerr and Lucas Shaw, stuff like that.
Yep.
We also got in contact with him through Elliot, which is really awesome. And yeah, Elliot, he just helped us out so much. Also helped us bring on like Berg Tech and Crank Brothers and stuff like that and talk to them.
He is low key one of the most important people in downhill racing. I don't like people see him
Absolutely.
on the broadcast and stuff, but the amount of stuff he does behind the scenes is phenomenal.
He is such a busy guy too. I don't know where he finds the time to do it, but he does everything all the time.
He probably
And he
wrote a
sleeps
computer
until like
program.
10 o'clock every day. It's ridiculous.
He
But
probably
yeah,
wrote
he
a
is
program to help out his life. Like some of the stuff he has done, it's ridiculous.
honestly, yeah, probably. Like he has done so much for the sport and so many incredible things. I don't think the sport would be the same without him in it.
No, not at all. No.
And we're very lucky that he's part of the sport and that he's part of the scene.
Mm. Is it on purpose that it's two Americans on your team and you guys are kind of sending that flag?
So it was kind of, I'd say, in a roundabout way, maybe, but Abby and I have been best friends since like 2018, something like that. We started hanging out a lot. And we first had the idea, and it's kind of just random that we're both Americans living in Europe. I think that might have been one thing that connected us.
Yeah.
But it's also just kind of random. But yeah, we had the idea first in like 2018 or 2019. We were like, oh, what if we started a team together? Because it was in 2019 because that year we posted like we did like a stupid little, it wasn't necessarily a series, but we'd post a bunch of like stupid videos of like us at races doing things, and people seemed to really enjoy them. So we were like, what if we like started a team together? Because I feel like we can market ourselves quite well as a package better than we can individually. Yeah, so what if we started a team? But it was more just like haha, what if? And then in 2021, it was when we were driving down to Worlds, we were in the car and we were both like kind of unhappy with our current setups. We were like, what if we like actually did this? What if we like actually went through with this instead of just only talked about it? And then we were like, yeah, let's do it. So we got to Worlds. First thing we did, write up a portfolio, make ourselves a deck, started talking to sponsors, started coming up with a name. Yeah. And then we told I think it was in Snowshoe, we were like at the after party, all of us pretty drunk. We told Elliot about our idea. We were like, we're going to start a team. And he was like, oh my God, guys, I'm going to help you. And we were like, yes. And yeah, that's how that all kind of happened.
That's where all the best ideas start, right? It's the after party.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sick. I rate it so much. It's kind of like grassroots mountain biking gone big type thing. I don't know. It's just really, really cool vibes.
Yeah, thank you.
Now you get to race the rest of the season with the American sleeve.
I do.
On your jersey as well after last weekend.
Yeah, last weekend. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I'm stoked. I've never been to national champs before. That was my first national champs. So very excited that I get to wear the sleeve now. That'll be fun. I don't get to wear it till like for another month because at Worlds you wear like the national jersey.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to wear the sleeve.
Is it weird racing US national champs after living in Europe for so
long? I think some people were like thought it was kind of weird that I was there. Like yeah, there were a few people that thought it was weird. It was funny. I think Dante Silva was telling me, I like I rode past him, I was like, oh, hey, Dante. And he was like, oh, hey, Anna, whatever. And the guy who was talking to, I don't know who it was like, well, Dante told me this later. He was like, oh, I've never really talked to Anna that much before. And Dante was like, yeah, she's also a European. She's also not American. I'm like, come on. Yes, I am. But yeah, I think in the US, people kind of see me as like the European. And then here in Europe, people see me as the American. So there's there's nothing I can do about it. I don't really mind either way. Like I'm not super concerned with what they think. But yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I like it. Yeah. I've met plenty of people like that before. Like you sit in this, it doesn't really matter, but you sit in this like no man's zone of you're American, but you're not in America, but
Yeah.
then you're pretty like European, but you're not in Europe. You sit in this
Yeah.
like no man's land. It's kind of a weird spot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was pretty funny when I was over in Australia over the winter as well. Because whenever people would ask me where I'm from, I'd like alternate between saying that I'm from Switzerland or I'm from the US. And
Yeah.
their reactions would always, well, if I said I was from Switzerland, they'd always be a lot more shocked than if I said I was from the US because, speak English. Yeah, I was just gonna like alternate saying where I'm from. So I'm like, well, do they want to know where I'm from or do they want to know where I live? Because that's not the same thing.
Yeah. True. Yeah. I mean, most people, yeah, probably don't even know where Switzerland is. One of them. What was it like coming down to Aussie for Australia for those few races?
That was great. I was actually there for like 3 months in total.
True.
I was there. I flew over in the beginning of December, spent all of December in Perth with Alex, which was really cool. That was, I had a lot of fun. The riding in Perth is like surprisingly really sick.
Yeah.
In WA in general, it was so fun. Like in Perth, the riding was a lot of fun. And then we went down to Nanup and stuff like that. That was sick. Nanup was so fun. And like, what is it, Welly Mills, stuff like that. All that good fun up there.
Yeah, it looks good over there.
Yeah, like it surprised me because Alex is always like, oh, it's so flat here. There's nothing around. There's no riding. But I thought the riding was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was cool. And then we did the drive across the Nullarbor, went from Perth to over east, which was a whole lot of nothing. We did the Nullarbor golf links in between. So there's like a golf hole at every like gas station or whatever throughout the Nullarbor, which is cool. I suck at golf though. And at the end, I was getting very frustrated because I couldn't even hit the ball. I was just hitting the ground and my wrist was starting to hurt from it. So I kind of gave up on the whole golf thing. But yeah, then we were over east for another 2 months. Did some races there, which was cool. Alex broke his foot at one of them. That was less cool, but
completely
happens.
Annihilated his foot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exploded it. Like he's got like 15 little screws in there, something like that right now. Something ridiculous. That was fun for me because then I became the designated driver and like I've driven on the left side of the road before, but only on a car where the steering wheel is still also like on the normal side on the left side, or not normal for me, normal side. So I was a bit freaked out about being on the other side of the car and like shifting with my left hand. That was the weirdest bit, but I got used to that pretty quickly. But yeah, then I did Mount Buller and Mount Beauties where Alex broke his foot, and then I did Threadbow, Cannonball, which was really cool. Got to say, really grateful to the Baldwins and the Frews for letting us stay with them while Alex's foot was broken, because we were supposed to be like, continue living out of the van and camping and stuff like that. But, that's kind of hard to do when your foot's exploded and you need surgery and stuff like that. So really, really grateful to, the Baldwins and the Frews for helping us out and kind of taking us in through that time. But yeah, Cannonball was really cool too. It was also fun seeing some familiar faces there, like, Sean, Nina, Cammy, and then Ellie and stuff like that as well. It was really cool. Really cool getting to ride with everybody. And yeah, was a lot of fun.
The unofficial Australian World Cup round
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah, it was so chaotic though because it was nationals at the same time and like the awards ceremony. I don't know if you were there for that, but that was such a shit show. Like I don't know why they decided to do the cannonball and the national podium at the same time. And they gave like in downhill, Sean won. Nina was second and I was third, but they still gave Nina and I the silver and the bronze medal. And we're like, no, don't do this. We're not, this isn't our national champs. Give it to Ellie and Leah, not to us.
Yeah,
It
I
was
saw
so
that.
ridiculous. And they
Yeah.
gave like Jackson Goldstone the gold medal. And it's like, no, why? That's not, just do two separate podiums, one for Cannonball and then one for nationals, especially if, because Cannonball, I think, like really I think they kind of pushed to have international riders there. But then when the international riders were there, they just didn't know what to do.
No, I don't
It was
think that was
so chaotic.
Cannonball because that was supposed to happen.
Or I was cycling, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'm sure Timmy will reach out to me when he hears this after he's
It wasn't.
selling
No, I
vacation.
don't mean
But
Canada. I mean like Oz Cycling didn't know like
yeah,
what to do with the international riders there.
it was
It
100%
absolutely
them.
wasn't Cannonball. It was
Yeah.
it was Oz Cycling.
Yeah.
But it's more like the fact that like they knew that there are international riders there and Oz Cycling was just like had no idea what to do about the podiums and stuff. Like it wouldn't have been hard just to do two separate podiums. But
I'm kind of laughing a lot internally right now because I have an international rider on and Oz Cycling still gets ragged on in one of my episodes. It's happened in every single episode, and I try not to have it happen. And it's still managed to happen. Oh.
yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's just funny. Like, it's not Oz Cycling or anyone's fault, but the person that won the Australian National Champions for Enduro last year is a New Zealander that's lived here for like 15 of his 22 years on this earth. Like, he is an Australian dude. He just doesn't have a passport or a citizenship. But he got the gold medal last year, and our national enduro champ for 2022 has the national jersey with the silver medal.
Yeah.
It's such a weird concept. Like it doesn't make sense. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's very yeah, but I feel like okay, to be fair, USA Cycling isn't better. Like USA Cycling, arguably worse after the whole enduro fiasco at nationals with them using a stopwatch to time.
I heard that.
Like 3 out of 5 stages, ridiculous.
I thought it was just
like
the first one.
I think it was, from what I heard, it was or the timing was only working officially for 2 out of 5 stages, and for the rest, they were just using stopwatches, hand timing it, which we know is absolutely completely inaccurate. And then Asa won by 0.1 up on Richie, which it's like that you can't. Like Asa's an incredible rider. He is such a talented kid, but it also really sucks that it was so inaccurate, all the timing. And like, it was a shit show. Like nationals downhill was luckily good, but they're really bad for the enduro riders because it's just so inaccurate, you know?
Was it
like
they took 5 hours to get the results calculated and out, which
I think more
seems accurate to me.
Yeah, the race finished at like what 11 o'clock, and I think it was like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, wow.
Until they got the results out. Insane. Like that's so. I feel so bad for all the enduro races, just because like while it's approximately that's what it would have been, but like it's so inaccurate timing it with a stopwatch.
Well, 0.1 is less than a blink.
Yeah, that's human error.
Yeah, like if someone blinked and he crossed the line, and then they stopped it. Like that's completely, yeah.
Yeah. Or their tire was, 2 centimeters further or further up front or further back. Especially after, okay, to be fair, it was only like 15 minutes of racing. But yeah, it's like you can't, yeah, it's like I'd say it's like probably a 10-second margin of human error where they could have been. I mean, who knows? Maybe Asa would have been 10 seconds quicker if they would have done it normally. Maybe Richie would have been 10 seconds quicker. Maybe the guy who got third would have been up there with them. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that sucks, is that like it's all, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
And now Ace's first national win has got an asterisk next to it in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Which also sucks because he is such a talented kid. Like, he is ridiculously fast.
He's like under 17, right?
Yeah, he's like 15 or 16 years old. It's insane. And he's beating a lot of the top pros. But it's the same in the girls. There's Aletha Ostgaard. She is also like, I think in nationals she was like a second behind me.
Yeah, wow.
I was like, ooh, that's very close. Good thing she's not elite or U19 yet.
We talked about like the IXS helping you, and then it seems like you guys didn't have there wasn't a national series in the US for a while, but now Nico's kind of got something going on over there. And
yeah,
we haven't had a national series. We had a national series, but it was shot. Now we're starting to get it back. But you're seeing all these fast kids coming out of the US now. There's a national series. We're seeing more fast kids coming up slowly here. Like, do you think that's reflecting the importance of that middle ground race series?
Oh, 100%. It is so important and crucial for the development of up and coming riders, for there to be like a series that they can actually race. In the US right now, there's the Downhill Southeast, which is what Nico's doing, and he's doing such a great job. And I think he's helping out the sport in the US so much. He's doing so much for the sport. Over in the States. And then over west, there's the Northwest Cup, which is also really good, really cool. But I think there's a reason that there's so many dominant Frenchies. And that's because they have a national round and races they can actually compete in. I think it's incredibly important. And I'm really happy that a lot of countries are now, or people, it's not also always necessarily countries, but sometimes it's organizations, the VDHS as well over there. I think has probably also been doing a lot.
That was pretty much our national cup for a while. Was the VDHS, but yeah.
But it's cool to see some organizations and stuff stepping up and creating series and giving a platform to younger riders, and also a place where they can improve and race.
And now you're wearing that national sleeve as well, but you're now auto in the Worlds team. I think that was even announced yet.
Yeah, it's been announced for us. I'm excited to go to Worlds. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Were you announced before? Did you know were you going to go beforehand, or was it?
Yeah. Me and Abby, well, we're the only elite women going this year.
Okay.
But in the US, there's like people who are auto selected, and it's like if you're the two highest ranked Americans within the top 40 of the UCI standings are auto selected. So we were, I think that's why.
Yeah. I mean, if there's only two of you, you can be the top two, which makes life easy.
Well, there are other racers. They're just further down in the ranking.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Fort William?
It's gnarly. I have an interesting relationship with Fort William. I have had some of my biggest crashes there, but also some of my best results. Like
Okay.
in 2019, that was the one World Cup that I won. Was in Fort William, which was nice. But yeah, in 2018, that was my first World Cup podium ever, which was also
Yeah,
cool.
wow.
Even though I like crashed like once or twice or something in my race, I don't remember. It was a shit show.
That was a
And
bad year.
oh God, my legs were like covered in bruises after that.
Yeah,
I
right.
I don't know if I have a picture, but there's the way my legs looked after that race, because I had to crash a few weeks earlier on a pump track and like just tore open my whole leg. So like half of my leg was a scab, the other half were like massive bruises. It was, yeah. I have had a lot of hugies in Fort William.
I think it claims so many people, like
Oh
so
yeah,
quickly too.
yeah. Well, because it's so fast and you don't have a soft landing on those
Mm.
rocks. It's gonna hurt when you fall.
It looks like there's some changes this year though. Looks like there's
I've
some
heard,
smooth bits, and it's running
yeah.
really good.
I haven't actually seen anything yet. I should probably maybe see if there's a video up or something. But I've heard the whole bottom section from like the road gap or maybe above the road gap onwards, like till the bottom is like completely smoothed out and changed.
Yeah, wow. I guess there's more people going to be on it, right? Like it's going to be what 180 plus riders who get through to finals, pretty much. I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be more than at a World Cup because
Okay.
there's usually like a fair amount of people at a World Cup anyways. And Fort William's one track that like only changes very minimally with people riding it.
Okay.
It's not like Val di Sole, where after the first juniors went through, it was like a completely different track.
Yeah, that looked
It's
wild.
Fort Williams. It was insane. It was I walked the track while the juniors were training. And I was like, this is not the same track that I walked earlier. This is so different. Just because it was so blown out. Just yeah, after that, those first 2 or 3 hours of junior practice. But yeah, Fort William holds up pretty well usually, just because there's no dirt. It's all just rocks.
It's already bad. But
Yeah.
you're pretty keen for it. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I always enjoy going to Scotland. I think the track there is pretty sick,
Mm.
and it's also just such a gorgeous place. Like Scotland is so beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Really nice. And it's like one of the tracks where it's like if it rains, it's like doesn't really do anything to it.
True.
Makes it a
Yeah.
little bit harder, but it's like that track is fine in the wet.
It's going to be interesting seeing how this festival of cycling or world celebration of cycling or whatever it is with like all the disciplines there for world champs. It's going to be pretty interesting to see.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing is it's made flights super expensive. Um,
I think there's
but
some people I know that couldn't get accommodation are like camping in people's front yards because like it was so hard to find
really,
places. Yeah.
wow.
Because you remember that the UCI needs officials for every single one of those events.
Yeah.
So most of the accommodations going to the UCI like
Oh
already.
yeah.
And
Well, and
then
all the events are on at the same time as well.
yeah. So like it's huge. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
It's gonna be wild for you
Yeah.
guys.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm
I think
hoping
it's
like
yeah.
all the spectators from the other sports come across and like that finish corral at Fort William is just ridiculous. Like it looks like
Yeah.
Leger from last year.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That for the finish crowd Fort William's already always insane. Like the spectators in Fort William, rain, shine, midges, they're always there. They're just so stoked to be there and watch the race. Um, and I think this year it being World Championships, it's going to be pretty insane.
Yeah, I'm keen. Who's your main competition you reckon at Fort William? Rachel's going to be there, maybe.
I think everybody's in competition. Yeah, Rachel's gonna be there. I wouldn't be surprised if she, pulled a win out of her back pocket. I also wouldn't be surprised if she didn't. I think one rider who could definitely take the win is Nina. She's really fast
Mm,
on that track, and she won by, I think, a pretty good margin last year. She
true.
won the BDS this year. Sorry, I'm losing my voice, despite
That's
a
all right.
crash. Yeah, I think I've got my money on Nina.
Yeah. And she's had time for her knee to heal up. So hopefully that's all good.
Yeah,
And if Gracie Hemstreet came out and took the win, I think the world would implode. That's for sure. I
I
don't
don't
know if
think I would
she's
be sorry.
I don't know if she's racing or not, but yeah, if she
I think
came
she
out.
is.
Okay.
I think she's okay again after her crash at nationals, but
Okay.
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she did really well. I wouldn't be surprised if Phoebe did really well.
Mm,
Um, I wouldn't be surprised if Tani pulled something out of her back pocket.
true. Yeah. And then Louise Ferguson, I think, is on the team as well. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
Lou could
I
do
guess.
really well. There's so many people who could, yeah,
I have to say Sean as
potentially.
well.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
um what's her name? Hattie is
Oh
racing as
yeah.
well. Like
Oh God, yeah, I know. I'm gonna get smoked by an enduro racer again. Um,
yeah, I wouldn't
she is so incredibly talented.
I think
Like
she's got
on
BMX
any bike
and
she did.
it's like BMX and road are the only two world champion, maybe trials and track. Like there's
Yeah,
not much she hasn't been a world champion. Like
I know.
ridiculous.
She is. It's like every bike she touches, she is fantastic at.
Yeah.
It's yeah, she is such an incredible rider, and I wouldn't be surprised if she did really well.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
It's gonna be a sick race. I'm excited.
yeah, I'm excited too. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting. I'm excited to see the new track,
Mm.
the changes.
And you're heading over to the snowshoe and stuff this year as well?
I am,
Yeah.
yes,
Cool.
and the U.S. Open,
Okay.
which is a week before.
Yeah. Is that going to be better weather than the week the World Cup's on? Or you're not sure?
Not sure.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
heard
we'll
I've
see.
I've heard it's usually snowing around that time of year in snowshoe.
Oh,
So
it's going to be MSA and Snowshore are going to be cold.
yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking putting those two races in October, especially MSA, it being literally that far up north. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's hope it stays different and doesn't snow because that would be miserable.
Do Contra make fat bikes? Like, are you gonna have one?
I'll ask Evan. Be
Yeah.
like, Evan, for snowshoe and MSA, we're gonna need a fat bike. It's gonna be snow, and I'll tell Maxis to get me some spikes, like with the
Yes.
nails drilled through.
So sick. Um Rad. I think we might start wrapping things up a little bit. I've got 3 questions I like to ask everyone at the end of these things.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you have for someone looking, I guess, to get into racing or to start racing World Cups? I guess.
World Cups. Um, hmm, that is a good question. Take things slowly. Don't go in too overexcited and don't put too many expectations on yourself. One mistake that a lot of juniors or people racing World Cups for the first time make is they get really overexcited and like try and hit every single feature on their first run and just blow themselves up and explode. I'm also guilty of doing that at my first World Cup. But yeah, I'd say like, relax, treat it as any other race. Get to know people, talk to people, and I think the main thing is just have fun and yeah, treat it like any other race.
So, is there anything you would have done differently or changed up until now? Like any regrets or anything like that?
I wouldn't say so. I don't think I have any regrets. I'm really happy with where I am now, like racing wise and team wise and stuff like that. and setup wise. So there's nothing that I would have wanted to change, because I think if there's anything that I changed, I probably wouldn't be right here right now, and I'm happy to be here now.
Yeah. Good. Last one is usually the hardest for some reason. If you're a bit out of sorts or like not motivated to say go training or go for a ride or anything, do you have any music or anything that you kind of listen to, or what kind of gets you in the mood to go get out of that slump and go riding or do something you don't want to do? Or
That is a good question. Yeah. Well, so I wouldn't say for me that it's music. I think I'm more like or this might not be a good thing, but when I don't feel motivated, I remind myself of a time where I was like didn't do well, or I was slow, or I missed out on like doing well by a very close margin, and I'm like, oh, it makes me mad, and then I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go.
yeah. Yep.
That's what I do. Whether that's healthy or not is the other question.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not go down that deep rabbit hole.
No.
But yeah, it's that like kind of like that thing is like you're working because your competition isn't, or like you're doing this because if you
Yeah,
weren't, yeah, yeah, I get it.
absolutely.
Sick. Well, thanks so much for coming on and having this chat. I've really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. I had a really good time. It was
Thank you.
cool. I think on this podcast there's a lot of stuff we talked about that I haven't really talked about on any other podcasts, which is cool.
There you go.
Very good
Try.
questions.
I try my best. I may have got some help from your partner Alex with a couple of things, but that's all right. I hope you have a really, really good time in Fort William, and we see you up on that podium, if not the top step. And yeah, for the rest of the
No
year.
pressure.
That's all right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Deep down, I want Sean to win anyway, so it's all good.
Wow. No, I'm kidding.
No, well, yeah. Enjoy the rest of the year and the rest of your day, and I'll let you know when this is
Thank
dropping.
you. Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect.
You too. And again, thanks again for having me on.
Right.
Yeah, I had a
Anytime.
blast.
All right. Well, yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll speak soon.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.